Now we're back to making videos, and after Solomon, we're doing Lord Logres. Makes sense because these two got introduced with Grandcaster training battles. So this Lord Logres is the ideal saber from Fate Stay Night. Not her at her strongest, not even her with her holding Avalon. This is the ideal of King Arthur personified. Um, you can see it in her ascension and the dialogue. This one specifically is probably Artoria's dream that she got to be king while also being able to stay a woman while still wielding Avalon, so not like Lancers who chose wrong with Miniad. There's a whole lot to this servant, and on my notes, I literally have it titled FanFiction Farmer. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see it. Um, but yeah, this character, um, she is literally peak Buster farming in almost every sense of the word. But there is one major catch with this character. You cannot use Liz of the End with her at all if you plan for Liz to actually die. You have to plug suit Liz of the End out, and that's just a fucking waste. It really is a waste to be doing something like that. Skipping ahead to the MP, it's because of this. She heals the entire party 2,000, and Liz only does 1,000 damage to herself. So Liz at the end gets more HP if you use her with Lord Logres. So not gonna bring up the engine comp like I did with Gatia. And even Gatia, who I originally thought had the same problem, no, it's just like you need to be like aware when you pop your skills. So let us get started talking about Grand Saber. Base attack 12.7k. We love to see like high base attack like that. That is, if Jolter is still the highest base attack in the game, she's on Lord Logres is only 600 like attack off. So really not even that far off. Uh, Not only that, she pretty much has all the buff types she needs in her kit, and what she doesn't get, she'll get from her craft essence, Black Rail, or Oberon. HP is on the lower side, especially compared to OG Saber, but as I just showed with the MP, she heals 2k per turn every time she MPs, and you're pretty much going to be able to MP with her every single time, every single turn, uh, as long as she's not sleeping in Avalon. So, and I'm bringing up my notes again. So, Bond Craft Essences. We have Star Attribute, so the evil CE. We have a Lawful Good, that's CE. Lawful Female, and I'm pretty sure that is it. Yeah, pretty sure that's it. So, you are going to be able to get you're going to be able to get this character leveled very quickly, and the fact that you can use the Star Attribute one means if you don't feel like using Black Rail and you want to prioritize bond farming her, you have a 2,000 attack CE you can use instead of the split stat ones or an all HP. So yeah, instead of like bring up my the Buster Engine comp, like how you're heavily restricted for how many bond bonus CEs you can use because of how high the party cost is. It's easier to offset it with Lord Logres, along with you can't use Liz at the end. You can still use Chloe, but really all you're doing is just the extra 20% attack and 20% MP damage, which if you need it, you need it, but you're not going to need Kuro for her kit with the manuscripts. You're literally just doing it to cycle buffers and basically give her decisive battles Mystic Code buff, because that's also 20 attack and 20 attack and 20 MP damage. So that's pretty much all you'd be using Kuro for. Uh, all right, over here, Star Weight, Star Gen. These are normal Saber numbers. MP charge is at 0.58%. She's rocking a full gorilla deck. And high hit counts on her quick and arts card. I will say, we go into the kit, you should not be critting with her. So you kind of have to assume, and you don't even need these cards for refund. If you are actually buster farming, obviously you're not going to be carding, number one. But even with break bars, you're going to be able to refund her entire MP on wave 3. Like, you do not need charge supports with her. It is part of the reason people call her fanfic servant, because of how stupid some of her buffs are. Like, they are absolutely ridiculous, and she's definitely going to be one of those servants that are not going to they're not even going to try to keep her in balance with the other characters. You really can't. But it is making me want them to actually buff Ibuki. If you could do this to Lord Logres, why is it Ibuki has to suffer that much? This isn't going to turn into an Ibuki video, though. Here are the other traits: Arthur, Artoria Face Dragon, King, Riding, Round Table Knights, and 7 Night Servants. Those are the other traits that you're probably going to take advantage of. You do not, because Grand Saber is not man attribute, kind of like pseudo counters Morgan in terms of super effectiveness, but she's still going to take extra damage from Round Table Knight trait. I am now doing monthly $5 giveaways as a way to give back to my channel. I recently hit 500 subs and I want to keep giving back to the people that support me. All you have to do is comment on one of my videos during the month. Doesn't even have to be a video I make that month, and you are entered to win. 5 people can win every month, with 1 win per person per month. Only 1 comment is counted as an entry every month. I will send you the prize in a way that works for both of us. Thank you for watching. Now let's get back to the video. Alright, on to skills. And here is one of the most busted skills for farming you will ever see, especially considering you double stack Buster. So remember, 50% gauge every turn for 5 turns. So when you double stack this, preferably by turn 2, turn 3 you have 100 charge, not including any fucking thing else. This is so fucking stupid. That debuff immunity 1 time 5 turns, buff removal resistance 1 time 5 turns, and then she does 1,000 damage to herself from this self regeneration. So there is a non-zero chance that if buffs get removed, the enemy is gonna take this off, and if like one of the things is remove one of the latest buffs, this actually might get taken away to save some of your other buffs, depending on how you pop the skills. So for that specific reason, if it actually comes up, you'd want to pop skill 2 first, and then this one. Yeah, this is just dumb. And it being an 8 turn... Now, normally this being an 8 turn cooldown would be some kind of demerit, but because of this skill, it makes it like you don't even fucking care. Her kit is just that fucking disgustingly broken that I'm pretty sure they made the heal on her MP specifically because of Liz at the end, and they didn't want that character buffing her too. I haven't done calcs whether you can use cats instead of Cuckoo, but because of this skill, like, you probably don't want it, but at the same time, you get, like, is easier if you use if you can double stack this skill for farming purposes, and maybe even have so much charge you can get to OC2. But yeah, like, it's something people are gonna have to play around with, especially for how much cooldown reduction is actually going on with this character. Like, min-maxing it is... I'm pretty sure people probably already have this figured out, but It's just not something I was actively doing while I was taking the notes. Second skill, 20% attack, 30% crit damage, 30% crit chance resistance, and then 50 stars on a 6-turn cooldown. What are we doing here? What are we actually fucking doing here? In her normal farming setup, I'm pretty sure you're able to double stack this on turn 1. That's the level of cooldown reduction this character has. So again, this is why I'm saying like you shouldn't have any problems critting, because you have this skill and then you have Vich and Oberon. If you're not fighting man attribute, you can save those 2 skill bombs on Koyan for another turn. Like especially if you're not fighting man attribute that first turn. Pretty much guaranteed you're critting next turn. Third skill. I'm not even gonna try and pronounce this. But 2 attacks, 3 turns of solemn defense, 50% buster up for 3 turns, reduce the party skill cooldown by 2. This is why I'm also saying you could probably get away with Kets and not double Vich. Especially if you have a pen 2, because then there's no issue of MPing turn 1. But here we have something very, very similar to Oberon's third skill. So, but unlike Oberon, she's not going to sleep after the first turn. She goes to sleep after 3 turns. AKA when you're done buster farming at the end of the fucking wave. So, she will go to sleep. But unlike Oberon, she will wake back up. But you need to max out this skill. You can't even leave it at 9 because this is just too much of a jump. You besides the fact she's a buster farmer, you have to go to 10. Otherwise, she's not gonna wake up with any buffs. So it really does help that her skill cooldown here is the way it is, because she'll basically have this on repeat when she wakes back up. This, not so much, but if you have a pen 5, when she wakes back up, you'll be able to pop this again if you're choosing not to do buster farming. Yeah, so 8-turn cooldown, 6, 10. This is probably one of the buster servants that have the highest skill cooldown. I think Tonalico comes pretty damn close, but even she has ways to reduce that cooldown of her third skill a little bit faster than this, but only if she's MPing enough time. So not so much farming, but definitely in a CQ that's lasting more than 3 turns, which she kind of does want because of how third skill lasts with the guts. Moving on to passives, 20% debuff res, 10% quick performance up, and Knighthood Conferment. On guts, activate butt. When party's gut status are activated except self, increase target's gut recovery amount by 100%. So if you come back with 3,000, you come back with 6,000. If you have one of those guts that are half your health, you'll come back with all of your health. I'm pretty sure that's Kiara's. As if the fish woman did not need a way to buff her guts even more. Lord Logres. And unfortunately, it's not a party-wide gut charisma, but it is targeted 20% attack for 3 turns. Or that's whoever's guts gets popped, they're the one that gets the attack buff. Idle King, not ideal, idle, as in a king that doesn't do anything. No effect. I think that's because this is her people's interpretation of King Arthur. or some other reason. Probably more to do with stuff down here, but we're not really getting into that. Pen skills. So anti-berserker, free damage. Free damage for most farming. If you went higher than MP2, this is probably something you're going to look at once you hit Bond 11. These two depend on who you're farming with. But skill, especially if you're trying to do Kets, this is almost a requirement that you have this upgraded. Otherwise, you're definitely not going to be able to double pop this. But again, you really don't need to double pop this because this has nothing to do with damage. It's just ease of use. Yeah. Like this, you're definitely going to be able to double pop this. I can't remember if you're actually able to triple pop this. Honestly, it would be insane if you could. But because, like, you're not... Like, I didn't see myself double stacking this. I don't think it's possible. Maybe in a challenge quest you could do it if you can get more cooldown reduction servants coming in and just esports dying, but yeah, I don't see it. Not practically. Here, but again, if you try to use Kets for just more damage overall, you're gonna need both of these. So that if you're at MP1, you need to hit Bond 11, MP2, Bond 9, MP3. Sorry, MP2 is Bond 8, MP3 is Bond 9. Last part of the kit. 5-hit AoE Buster. And this is an improved version of the Excalibur. Like, honestly, when I saw this MP when it launched, it felt like they even took it from Honkai, but made it better. Like, it's like they let Honkai Star Rail have Excalibur, and then the devs came back and it's like, all right, we can't let HSR show up Saber. We got to make this look good. So it looked even more kingly than that. So, along with the damage, Invul Pierce for a turn, activates before damage, good. 200% damage against threat to humanity. You're doing double damage if they got that trait. So, foreigners, watch out, and bosses if they have that. Charisma for the party, Gauge for the party. So, Saber's normal battery, but now everyone in the party gets it. Overcharges the party like Morgan, and then the heal, which I already talked about, that kind of gimps her damage or gimps the possibilities with Liz at the end. But in a challenge quest, you're not going to be complaining about this, especially if you're actually using Merlin with her. Your team's not dying, especially this part too. You're getting overcharged quicker. Yeah, no, like, her using this character with Merlin in more, like, sustained fights is truly, like, you're not dying. Vitch might be dying because of, like, just... She needs people to babysit her. Merlin is not dying because you choose... He has the invul, and then all the healing per turn you're gonna get. OC. MP damage for 1 turn, so you can't ramp this up. But the scaling is fair for an AoE. It's fairly nice. I think Musashi's is like 30 to 80 or like 30 to 70. This ain't that far off. 20 to 60. And she has overcharge in her kit, so it's not the first MP. The second one will do 30%. So the first MP, again, this character epitomizes Buster farming. The first MP is always going to be the weakest, and then everyone after that. Every MP after that is just going to do more and more damage. So, turn 3 comes around. If you're able to brute force even more charge into this character, you're going to be sitting here at 40%, and Oberon's going to double that. Crazy stuff. Matt's the level. Honestly, these aren't terrible. At this point in the game, on NA, we don't have enough of these. We truly don't. JP, different story, especially after Grand Raids. Uh, Grand Raids, and this is a Storm Pod mat, so you should not be having problems. And last but not least, Bonsai E. So just like OG Saber, party attack buff, but now you have power mod to threat to humanity. Yeah, so in tier list, I always kept Saber at like a decently high level because of how versatile she is. Um, yeah, no, this character just kind of takes this giant steaming dump on that notion. Uh, there's no reason like because she technically can also do the same. I think she can honestly do the same exact comps that OG Saber can do. Like I'm pretty sure she can do just double bitch and be fine. As long as you start her off with a K scope, because again, like this character does not have charge. Like they don't have a battery; they have charge per turn. Ridiculously high charge per turn, but still with charge per turn. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure K scope, Lord Logres, Double Vitch, and Atlas Mysticode easily gonna be able to 3-turn farm like no problem for most people. Uh, so yeah, with that, we're done with this video. Do I think this servant is must summon? No, but this is probably the most fun people are gonna have Buster farming with a Saber out there. Your damage ceiling is extremely high, while having very low investment needed in terms of getting over other servants. You don't need Oberon to farm with this character. To Black Rail Loop, you do not need Oberon. Just like you technically don't need Oberon for Arquid. Like OG Arquid, she doesn't need Oberon because you're with a Pen 5, because her battery gets reset to a manageable level. All right. I'm ready to what am I doing today? Nikkei, and then we're doing CQs. All right, peace. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed, drop a like or sub. Hope to see you in the next one. Peace.